All right, the stream is live. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am beyond excited to have Julia, Dasha, and Jesse here today as we talk about how they land so many paid brand deals. Not only are you guys, we're all three of you guys actually on our paid REI campaign a few months back, but you're also all friends in real life too. So how do you guys all know each other?
So we actually didn't know Juliet. Me and Dasha know each other, but she lives super, super close to us. We just found out yesterday. So we will be meeting shortly. We have to make that in real life happen.
But Jesse and I met through, I think through Instagram essentially. I feel like the Colorado, like Denver area has a lot of really awesome content creators who sort of share common interests in terms of hiking in the outdoors and like the content we share. So you kind of get a feel for what someone's like, and then you just want to meet up for a hike and then you're friends. So it's pretty, that's how it works here, I think.
I love that. Have you guys have created content together too, right?
Yeah.
Jesse and I have, yeah.
Okay. We have a few more ideas in the books.
Ooh, excited to see that. That's cool. Yeah. Okay, so cool. Before we dive in too far, I want to let everyone know that we only have Julia for 30 minutes instead of 45. So if you have a specific question for Julia, please let her know in the chat or just type in the chat before she has to leave before our 15-minute Q&A section. Also, I like to know who we have in attendance. So if you could use the chat and type your current location so that everyone can see, and maybe like if you know one of these ladies here, and as we're waiting for those to filter in, if you guys could just describe a little bit about the content that you create and kind of what got you into all that. Let's start with Juliet.
Hi, everyone. So I started the whole social media world back in 2021, and it kind of started with a blog. So I have a blog, Backpacker Babe, and it was kind of just me sharing my backpacking trips. And it started to turn into more and more. I met more creators through Instagram and learned photography and kind of went from there. And I'm a big thru hiker, so I did the JMT, the PCT, and now the Colorado Trail. And so a lot of my content is about backpacking specifically and a lot of hiking and educational in the way of gear and how to plan trips.
Nice. And how about Dasha?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Dasha. I live just outside of Denver, Colorado. My content is really focused on the outdoors and outdoors adventures, but also travel. And I'm actually a professional photographer, so I work with a lot of brands and companies to take like product photography and things like that, as well as trip photography. So I started back in 2020 when I bought my first camera, so about 4 years ago, and I was living in DC at the time, and all I could do was just like walk around the city and take photos of facades and like urban landscapes. So then after we moved to Colorado, I mean, I'm so passionate about nature and hiking. So it's basically like cinematic outdoorsy content with like guides and itineraries around hiking and travel. That's kind of the gist of it.
Cool. Yeah, we have a ton of people. Yeah, Colorado Springs, Hannah's on, Denver, Colorado, a lot of Colorado peeps. So shout out to them over there. How about Jesse?
Hi, I'm Jessie, the Worried Wanderer on Instagram. I really just started last year doing this, and it grew so fast, I just kind of went full time. And I am from Miami and lived in Chicago for a long time. I never knew I was outdoorsy ever. So when I came to Colorado and there were suddenly so many things to do outside and so many beautiful places to go, I just started posting them pretty organically on my social media. That kind of blew up. So I do a lot of mental health content too, because I have ADHD and anxiety, and I learned that like being outdoors obviously and getting your heart pumping really helps with mental health, and people really started relating to that. And so yeah, I grew quickly. And also, you know, a lot of my content is humorous because like I'm still kind of not used to hiking and doing all these things. So like I made a story a long time ago about peeing for the first time outside. Like that's kind of like my content really gets into like some weird stuff. But it's like the truth of the matter. There's a lot of people out there that are trying to get more into hiking and who have maybe never done it. And it's a little scary at first, just like it was for me. But yeah, so that's how that all happened.
Yeah, I mean, that's super relatable. So yeah, that's awesome. So before we dive into all the questions I have for you guys, I just want to do a one sentence intro really quick about me. I'm Elaine. I was a full-time content creator for 7 years, and about 7 months ago started working at RockPorch to help all our creators start, grow, and scale your creator income. All right, that's it. Oh, by the way, we are currently looking for a social media freelancer to join our marketing team. So if you're interested, you know what? I'm going to drop a link right here in the chat box. All right, without further ado, the main event. So how do you guys maintain authenticity and trust with your audience while integrating sponsored content?
Anyone? Okay, I could say it's honestly really difficult. It's one of the things I've been struggling with a lot lately. As you start getting more and more brand deals, you just don't want to be pushing out SpawnCon like all the time. So it's important to use those products authentically. Like once in a while, it calls for being like, I got this new product and I really love it if you're like obsessed with it. But I try to make it, I'm just going on a hike and like I'll take a photo of me and the beautiful view and be like, by the way, my jacket is this if anyone's interested. So just using your products authentically and in a genuine manner rather than being too salesy, and like that's so much easier said than done, but it's something you really have to learn to balance. Also putting a lot of extra content out there that's just about you and your personality and behind the scenes kind of content to grow that trust in between that sponsored content.
Yeah, just adding to that, I think when you work with a brand and they have a creative brief for you, really trying to establish that relationship with the brand to say, hey, I'm going to create content that I know my audience is used to and likes. And it might be goofy, like it might be kind of weird, but this is like if I create a video that's just like, here is a boot. I like this boot because it is a beautiful boot. Like no one's gonna, like that is so clearly salesy versus like, I don't know, just like going on a hike and like enjoying the scenery and sharing information about the hike itself or sharing a guide, an itinerary about a hike, but you're wearing the boots and maybe you're like integrating why you're wearing them like very organically. That's a little bit more natural and authentic. And you really have to kind of, sometimes I feel like I have to discuss that with the brand and just say like, we can't make this a commercial. Like it's not like people are watching a TV show and a commercial pops up. Like this is different. So yeah, that's what I would kind of add to that.
Yeah, and all three of these ladies also are killer at sales. So definitely this is like amazing advice. So how would you guys let's talk about brand deals. How would you describe a successful brand deal and what made it successful from y'all's perspective?
So I can kind of talk about this. So I'd say the number one thing for me is making sure that I'm always working with brands that completely fit my niche. And so some of the most successful ones I've had are with brands that really are just like so niche down that this is something I can incorporate into my exact adventure that I'm already going on. And then I can just incorporate it into that. And then going into the actual brand deals that I've had that are very successful. I think just having a clear communication back and forth with the brand is huge. Making sure that your goals and expectations are understood. I've had some brands that are just really, really, really bad at communicating. And so you submit a concept and then they just like aren't making sense. They're not really telling me what they want. And it's kind of back and forth for a little bit. And then I'm like, let's hop on a call. Let's like understand each other and understand like what you're actually looking for. So just making sure the communication is there. I found that the brands that have had me pre-submit my concepts are the ones that have been the most successful. So even if they're not asking for you to do that, it's good to actually just make an outline yourself and make sure that you have it all ready and you're going into the actual trip or whatever you're doing to shoot it is everything's ready to go. You're going to have all the individual clips that you need listed out, all the B-roll stuff that you need, all the photos that you need, and it's kind of all there laid out. And I feel like that kind of always ends up being a successful one.
Okay, so I want to do a little quick RockPorch plug. Wait, how's the communication? Because I know Jen is like always like on top of things, you know, with the outline, all that good stuff. How's the
Yeah.
communication been with campaigns that you've done through RockPorch?
The best. Some of the best. Like I'm not gonna say specific brands I worked with that have been horrible, but like I'm like, come on, you guys are big brands. You guys should be better than this. But I think sometimes it's just like it's just the one person you're working with. That's just like sometimes people aren't good at emailing. And so you need to hop on a phone call.
Yeah. How about you guys, Dasha, Jesse?
Well, I just want to say something completely unrelated. I am so sorry about these creatures. I was telling them all earlier, but I wanted to let everybody know that there's construction going on downstairs in my basement, so I cannot let my cats out. And they're just trapped in here, and they're very unhappy. So I am so sorry in advance. But also, they're cute. Anything you want to add, Dasha, to the actual question?
I'm gonna add my question response, Jesse. um, so I think it's been great. I think it's really nice to like work with like an intermediary that gets it, kind of like what Juliet was saying. Because it again, like some brands, it's interesting. Like it's very, you never know like who their marketing person is, or if they have a marketing person, or if they have cat. Like you just don't know. So it's been lovely. And again, like going back to Juliet's point about the creative brief and like having a plan structured, I think that's what typically like we do for the collaborations through Jen and RockPorch, which is like really nice because not all brands will ask for one, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm just gonna do my thing. So are you okay with that? And then, you know, it's not always like the result they want, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting with like the dynamic of like almost like creator educating, you know, the brand, and then the brand like, you know, in that like interesting dynamic. With how has it been, sorry to bring it back to RockPorch again, but how has it been different working with RockPorch versus other brands on campaign, like on paid campaigns?
I think it's kind of like you guys, it's like your bread and butter. Like it makes sense because you guys know exactly the questions to ask. You know exactly, I don't know, it's just so structured and so easy. You're like, okay, please send me the video by this date. And like Juliet was saying, some brands don't even do that. And so then when you deliver something, they're like, oh, that's not exactly what I wanted. So it's just like the communication is so clear with RockPorch. So it's been really nice and kind of a breath of fresh air working with you guys. You also respond like ridiculously fast, which is sometimes I have to wait for a brand for like 4 days. I'm like, hello, like I just want to post this for you guys. So it's just been really, really nice.
Yeah, and Jen gives out her like personal number too. So you guys, I don't know, have you guys been? Do you guys like text her too, or?
I haven't because I feel like I don't want to bother anybody, but it's nice to know that I have it just in case.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I think another part of it is with RockPorch is I feel like you guys understand how we actually do because you see our stats through RockPorch. So on the commission side of things, you guys see what's going on. And so I feel like when I'm like negotiating with a brand on like how much to get paid for a brand deal, it's just like I feel like you guys understand more. And I feel like I'm actually having like a transparent conversation about it. And I feel like other brands are like, they look at my media kit and stuff, but there's like, it's just like a lot more of back and forth.
Yeah, love that. Yeah, thank you. So what? Let's talk about the REI campaign, and I guess the question that was kind of on the banner, right? Like, how do you guys normally come up with the concepts for your sponsored content, and what were the specific REI concepts that you guys pitched that were accepted? So it's a twofold question. So.
Yeah, so for the REI content, also for all my sponsored content, I tried, like we were just talking about, like how it's nice in our niche that we can be so organic. Like we don't have to really stand there and like put on an outfit and then do a transition. Like it's all outdoors. And so for every sponsored campaign, I just think about the things that I'm already about to do. Like for the REI one specifically, I was going to Yellowstone. So I was like, fantastic. I'm going to put all these cute outfits that are going to be super functional for my trip. Amazing that I'm going to be able to have these like outfits and all these little things from REI. And I'm just going to use them organically on my trip. And that's how every single sponsored content that I've done has been. It's just like, okay, I'm going to go paddleboarding. So I'm just, okay. So I'm just going to, take this like hydration packet paddleboarding because it's going to be really hot that day. So I think just using the product organically is the best thing you can do. So it's not too difficult for me to come up with concepts since I always have so many things going on. I just put them into my everyday life and just, yeah.
Okay, so just kind of like showcasing your everyday life, what you're already doing anyways, just filming
using them authentically. Yeah.
Julia or Dasha?
I feel
Go
like,
ahead, Julia.
okay, so I feel like since my stuff is a lot more focused on like backpacking, and I do a lot of focus on gear and like educating, I feel like I incorporate all mine in to specific trips, but I also like to discuss specific gear pieces because everyone loves to like hear what gear they should have. And so like for the REI campaign, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to focus on like the top thing, like these top 5 things that everyone should have that they might not know they need, type of thing for a backpacking trip or a hike or whatever it is. So I think I've never really had trouble incorporating stuff in, but I'm also really picky about who and what I work with because it needs to fit not only my niche, but also the specific adventures that are coming up, because I think that makes it the most natural.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The concept that I used was around starting new hobbies, because this was back in the spring and I had this goal of, I've been in Colorado for a couple years now and I want to try new things. And I was really into like trying climbing and biking. So for me, that concept kind of tied really naturally with the product piece, because I was talking about like getting new gear for like climbing shoes, getting equipment for my bike, getting biking shoes, getting pedals, like a seat, like all of those like practical things. And a lot of things that I talk about on my platform is like, I am in my mid 30s now. So I'm like, not a lot of people feel like they can just jumpstart backpacking in their 30s. They're like, feels like I'm too old or something. So I talk a lot about that. I'm like, well, I'm just getting into these like brand new hobbies, and here's how you can do it. And here's the gear I got. So it like everything just kind of tied in naturally. And it also, REI just has so many options to choose from. So it was like, I genuinely go there for everything. So again, like just tying it all together organically made it really nice.
Yeah. Okay. I do want to second what Martha said. Feel free to post any questions you have in the chat box. Gianna just said, I saw that you rock climbed, Dasha. Okay. So as you guys are like, creating content, what tools, so prior to you guys all joining, we were talking about content and like having people record their content or gimbals recording their content. Any tools, any apps, any editing, anything that you guys would recommend in terms of current creating content and editing content?
For editing content, I love to use InShot because Instagram is super unreliable. So I always use InShot for that. I also always use Canva to create like cover photos and stuff. And in regards to like equipment, I have a Peak Designs tripod.
Oops, your mic is off, Jess.
Yeah. You're on mute. I think you're.
It's because my AirPod died.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I was saying I have a Peak Designs tripod that I highly recommend. And also, it's really important to sit down and have a very serious discussion with your significant other about how to film you. Very important.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
if you want,
Instagram
Jesse, you can drop
boyfriend.
the link to your tripod in the comments.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say like drop the link to my husband, like for his skills filming people. If anyone needs my husband to talk to their husband or significant other, let me know. He's really come a long way. A really long way.
The best is like this group right here, like helping each other shoot content
Yes.
is the best. And that's one of the other reasons why I love the community in Colorado here. It's like we get it. It's like, yes, of course you have like random stuff to shoot today.
I had to go film for Dasha because she had to film at a CVS, and she's like, my husband's not gonna like film me at a CVS. Like, he'd rather die. So I was like,
he draws the line in public, like when it's too public. Yeah.
That's so funny. I like that there's like boundaries there. How about you, Julia? Any recommendations?
So I also use InShot for all my video editing. It is just the best. Also for voiceovers, it is way more clear than any other app I've tried to use. So definitely recommend that. But otherwise, I use Lightroom and Photoshop. I'm normally like, I've learned to master Lightroom mobile, which is really hard, but I'm like on trail a lot editing photos, and so I've had to learn to do that. And it's not as hard as you think. But I also use the Peak Design tripod a lot, and then I also have the Peak Design capture clip, which goes onto your backpack, which is amazing.
Ooh. Wait, okay, so I used to use InShot, but then now I use CapCut. Do you guys not use CapCut and not recommend it?
I mean, I know
it a few times.
I use it for captions only. Because I have a camera, so I don't shoot anything on my phone. I shoot all of my video, all of my photos on my camera because I feel like it just has like, I don't know, it's just fun for me to edit that kind of content that has like a cinematic sort of feel. So I use Final Cut Pro, which is a desktop platform for editing all of my videos. And then I like color grade and everything there. And then for photos though, I do use Lightroom, and I also use Lightroom mobile. I just prefer it. It's like easier for me to color in like areas that I want to highlight or use the healing tool, like just with my finger on my phone. So, but yeah.
Yeah, actually, Alice has a relevant question. She says, "Is InShot on Mac?" No, InShot is an app that you download to your phone, and you can. It's either Android or Apple. And are you guys are you guys editing videos on your phone?
Yes, I'm doing it on the phone. You could actually get InShot for the Mac. It's like, it's not for desktop, but you could get it there. So I have used it. But what I didn't realize is that if I edit something on my Mac, it won't show up on my InShot on my phone. So then if I have to like change it a little bit, I can't. Like, I have to be on the desktop. So I just do it on my phone now. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. We have a ton of questions. Does InShot have automated voiceover captions for free?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know for free or not, but they do. I just don't remember what I paid for.
Yeah. And what do you use, Jesse? Also, what are your opinions on a gimbal that has the video camera built in?
I've never used one.
I have a gimbal for my camera, but I never use it because the platform I use to edit videos, Final Cut, it has a stabilization tool. And I overlaid the tool and it stabilized the footage pretty well, as long as your camera isn't like crazy shaky. So it looks pretty smooth, and the gimbal to me was just like so bulky to carry around, especially because I do hike and I backpack with my camera and like I travel a lot. It was just too bulky. So it's just in my closet right now.
Oh, actually, I do have a gimbal. I haven't used it in a while. I have a DJI one. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
just like a
I
small
had one of those
handheld one.
for your
It's
phone.
pretty nice for my phone, because I know that there's some that has like a camera built into it, but like my style is all for my iPhone, and I feel like if I use any other kind of camera, it's just not going to be the same, because I really like to saturate all my videos and stuff, and just like I've really figured out how to do it on the iPhone. So I have the gimbal that you can attach your iPhone on it, and I've used it for things like when I'm going on like a Jeep tour or a train ride. Like when I was going up to Pikes Peak, I used it. It also has a like strap, which is nice because if I'm holding it out of a window, I don't have to worry about dropping it. And it is really cool. So look at the DJI one.
Or the DJI Pocket. There's the DJI
That's
Pocket with the
built-in.
Yeah, that one is really great for like backpacking, hiking. I think they have a really nice model out now that's newer. Also, all my camera gear is in my RockPorch locker, so if you're ever curious, I do have a RockPorch locker with all that stuff.
Yeah, no, I love that. All the amazing tools. I do want to redirect the conversation a little bit back to brands. And Mike actually has an amazing question. He said, how did you all establish initial relationships with the brands you work with?
I like to start out by flirting a little on Instagram.
Ooh.
I'll start liking some of their posts. I'll start commenting on some of their posts. I'll be responding to their stories and stuff so that they kind of already know who I am before I like start like conversing with them. And then usually I'll DM them and try, to ask if there's anyone specific I should reach out to for brands. Sometimes they'll respond, sometimes they won't. And then, I'll go through LinkedIn, try to find a contact and just reach out that way. And sometimes it takes 6 times of follow-ups for a brand to respond to you. And that's okay. Like, just keep trying if you haven't heard back.
How much flirting did you do with us?
You guys started flirting with me first. I was like, "Oh, who's RockPorch?" Sliding into my DMs over here.
Yeah, I do something very similar to Jesse. I end up ultimately sliding into the DMs, like introducing myself, even though they probably already know who I am at that point, and just kind of pitching maybe a little idea, but then more so leaving that to asking, like, is there someone in marketing that I can email? And then that's when I actually do an actual pitch and like send my media kit and all that. Mm-hmm. If I get that marketing email.
Yeah, I think you guys have kind of covered it, but like just tagging, like again, showcasing to the brands that you are using their product first, not kind of cold calling them, but also it's like sometimes I'll say like, hey, people keep asking me, or not in these words, but people are asking me about this backpack, and I created this video featuring like how I pack my day pack, and it has this branded backpack in it. And this reel did really well, like maybe linking to it in your initial pitch so that you kind of demonstrate that you already do have that like link with your audience and the brand. And that sort of like really kind of opens the door for an authentic partnership.
Yeah, I love that you mentioned that. Like you're talking about like linking directly to their product so that you have this like the data to prove to them, right? That like,
yes, like I have this reel where I created this like video of me packing my day pack using, and that way they can already, it's kind of like demonstrating that you would already be successful, like with that product in front of your audience kind of thing.
Yes, I love that you said that, Dasha, because that is 100% like how we kind of go about brand partnerships as well. Is once you have that data, you can prove your ROI in a sense. Like that's what sets you apart from any other creator out there. And that's why you 3 were on our REI campaign. So thank you guys. Cameron had an amazing question. He said, any recommendations for someone under 10K to get more brand deals or recognition? Worked with about 8 so far, usually just for free. So I guess their question is how to go from free to paid campaigns.
This is a really hard one. And I feel like a lot of people in this industry don't know their worth. And I think you kind of have to just get to a point where you start asking for more and you say no to product exchanges, and you showcase what you've been able to create. You said you've done 8 so far. Like you've obviously created already probably amazing content. Like showcase that, create an amazing media kit and really show what you can bring them and how you can help that brand meet their goals for the year. And if you can show that, you can start getting paid. And it might not be a ton at the beginning, but you'll start to work your way up. And I think we've all kind of had to cross that bridge. And I think you just kind of have to start asking.
Yeah. And I think going back to Dasha's point too, in terms of like prior to getting these fixed rate campaigns, if you start linking to them, you can monetize prior to even landing that paid campaign. And then once you land it, you get that fixed rate and that monthly recurring revenue from your links as well. So it goes hand in hand. But yeah, anyone else want to talk about that?
UGC is also a really, really great way to start monetizing as a smaller creator. If they don't have a budget, or say they don't have a budget and they don't want to pay you, just be like, I could also do UGC content for your use on your page, and you could price that at a lot lower, but at least you can start, building up your portfolio even more. But I think that you've done 8 collabs already is awesome, and you can probably build a really good portfolio from that to show brands what you can do. But yeah, look into some UGC content as well.
Okay, I want to highlight Nancy's question. She's like looking at y'all's IG accounts right now. She says she sees amazing outdoor photos, but not necessarily product recommendations in the text portion. I'm assuming you mean in the caption. How do you reflect a product mention in the posts?
I think I'm confused about the wording of it.
I think, let me know if you're asking this correctly. Sorry, Nancy, I think what you're asking is, how do they link to products that they mention in their posts? And yeah, I'm assuming it's like Linktree in your link in bio, but yeah, you guys can expound upon that.
Yeah, if there's certain products in a reel, I'll just talk about it in the caption and direct people to that brand's account. But if there's something like affiliate links, like that'll usually be done in my stories. That's also the audience that's watching your stories is the audience that like has most trust with you. It's like your closest audience. And so I will link products in my stories. That's why a lot of brand deals is usually like 1 post and 3 stories. So then you could really link directly to those products. And also on my Linktree, I have like my RockPorch lockers and things like that.
Yeah, I think that's great. Let's see. Okay, another question. Joseph, we have a solid list of UGC clients, but we can't get much traction. Thoughts on how to get out of the route? So in terms of like account engagement, I'm assuming is what you're talking about, Joseph. So how to build engagement.
So besides the question, I have to hop off. Unfortunately, I also have my full-time job and have to run into a meeting, but thank you guys for having me. And if any of you have any questions, feel free to DM me. I'm happy to help in any way I can. So thank you guys so much.
Bye, Julia.
Yeah, thanks for joining us.
Bye, guys. Bye.
So
sorry, I'm rereading the question.
Yeah, I'm rereading it a few times
too. So they have you guys have UGC clients, but like with those clients, you're trying to jump into travel van life or like engage creators to create UGC? How do we jump from our current clients as an agency or as a I'm guessing as a creator.
Probably.
Okay, let's have Joseph refine that question a little bit. Let me jump to the next one. This is a really great one from Gianna. Do you ever use your affiliate stats for pitching?
Yes. Yeah,
and
definitely.
How? Like which stats specifically do you pull?
It depends. It really depends on what brand I'm pitching. Like there's one brand for hiking boots that I pitched because I actually sold so many of them. Every time I would post a story about it, I would get like 300 link clicks, which is like really unusual, at least for me. And then like I would sell like 6 or 7 every single time that happened. So for that brand, I'd give them all of that. But then for other brands, just seeing like how many people have responded to my story or responded being like, oh, wow, how cool. Sometimes I even went a little extra and made like a PDF of like all the comments people asked. Like there's a ski resort that I did a review for, and people were asking me to review other ski resorts. So I took every single comment that was asking for these other ski resorts. I put it in a PDF and I sent it over to the brand, be like, hey, people really, really want me to do this. That could also be for a product. But yeah, any way that you could prove to the brand that people are interested or that people are already buying or that people are interested just by clicking the links, I think is all great.
Yeah, for sure. Including that like actual commentary from the audience is so key. And I try to do the same thing, especially if somebody mentions, like if somebody tags me in a story and says, I bought this because I saw this on Dasha's Lens, I'm like, that is going straight into the report.
Yeah, I've also
really
screenshotted screenshot of DMs too that people will send me being like, oh my God, that thing you talked about, like I bought it. And I screenshot that and I send it over to the brand as well.
Yeah, and that's honestly where the industry is going, is like the using the authenticity that you guys bring to have a direct correlation in their ROI. That's why you guys are crushing it right now in the creator economy. So thank you guys for doing what you do. Let's see. I have another. Let's see another question. Wow, there's so many questions. I can't even ask my own. Come on, guys. Also, if Jen is on this call and you want to jump on to the screen, since Julia left, come on over, Jen. All right. Let's see. I see hashtag. Okay, hold on. What tools do you guys use to stay competitive / learn about usage rights and setting your prices? Caitlin.
This is really interesting because I feel like within the past year, I've seen a lot of creators suddenly come together around this. And honestly, we are talking to each other. We are sharing everything, especially because a lot of my friends are other content creators in the space. Aside from like certain brands who include in their contracts, like, please do not share like any kind of confidentiality, barring anything like that. I think within the past year, we have all really helped one another set our value and help benchmark rates depending on like your following or what's being asked or like things like that. So a lot of that information, if you Google it, like how much should I charge for blah, 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 a lot of that is not accurate because it's just like based on CPM or things like that, but it's not our actual, like how actually creators set the rate sometimes, because we are communicating with one another and we will likely know kind of generally what is being compensated for certain things. So, and I think, so in terms of usage rights, that goes right into there. Like there are some content creators out there that have been doing this for much longer than me. So, or like maybe have had more opportunities. So we also communicate around that with like usage rights and how the rates should be set for that. So it's just communication because there aren't a lot of industry standards around that. And there are like so many nuances that it can be overwhelming. So.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I feel like there's communities of creators that are talking about it, and there's community of brands that are talking about it, but the cross communication is not necessarily there. And we're hoping to bridge that divide of like, what are brands saying, what are creators saying, and how can we meet in the middle? So there's not such a big gap of like, I guess, quote unquote, knowledge that is honestly changing as the creator economy is changing. So, but we had a great, Mike Vert says, are there specific communities of creators that you recommend when you guys are talking about, rates and different stuff like that?
I love, when I first got into this, I don't know if anyone knows the creator Through the Lens, or it was Through the Leaves is like her personal account, Through the Lens. When I first started out, I purchased her like $40 ebook. And it has a rate calculator in there too. And that's what I used before I knew anyone, because I know it was saying something like, oh, just talk to creators and like, ask your community. Like, I didn't know anybody when I first started. I didn't know Dasha. So I used this ebook and it actually helped so much. It helped with contracts. Like it had a contract template, it had a pricing template and a calculator. So I used that for a while. So I think that's a great place to start. Like, don't just go online. Don't Google, like Dasha said, don't Google like rate calculator, but find a person who is actually an influencer that also like is talking about how to be a creator and follow their advice because they've actually been in it and they actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's perfect timing that Jen just jumped on because this is the we're trying to bridge the divide, right? So we got creators on the call, we got brand manager on the call. Let's talk about CPM. Let's talk about rates. Let's talk about bridging this divide right now. So
no pressure.
Yeah. Jen, go ahead or introduce yourself really quick.
Cool. Hi, I'm Jen. I'm the brand manager at RockPorch. I help bring on all the brands on the platform and also run all of our brand campaigns. So yeah, stoked to officially.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on oh, sorry, you're like frozen.
Oh, you're good. I was just saying stoked to meet you guys kind of in person and not through email. Yeah. Okay, go ahead, Elaine.
Sorry, I just froze. Everyone just froze. So continue what you were saying.
Good. Well, there were like a couple of really good questions, I think, that I saw in the chat. Okay, maybe I'll just pull up a couple of these. Oh, okay. Someone said, I have an impossible time getting any brands to pay. They want to start with a collaboration post at first, and then they end up ghosting. What's your kind of thoughts on that, or some advice?
Yeah, so I have some hot takes on this.
Yeah.
So I have been working, aside from my content creation, I've been working in marketing for over a decade. And we work primarily not in for-profit marketing, but it is, selling basically national campaigns and healthy behaviors. I work in public health. And we never ask a traditional media company for, hey, can we put this campaign billboard up in this like major trafficked area, or even a local community, and just we just want to see like how it goes. We want to see like what we get, but can we just test it out? And that's not how marketing works. So I think in terms of pushing back with just a pure collab post, you are still spending time, investing resources, and offering your expertise to create this content. And I think you should kind of showcase your value, and sometimes what I will also rationalize is that point around marketing and how there's not always a guaranteed success. And I think at 13,000 followers, you're getting pretty decent reach in order to kind of validate what you would be offering. So I don't know, Jesse.
Yeah, and no, yeah, everything that you said, and it's unfortunately really a numbers game. If there's brands that don't want to pay you, I'd say stop doing those collaboration first posts. Be firm and tell them you'd love to work with them, and you could at this point like show your affiliate links for the product or for the brand and be like, look, I've already done like a really good job promoting your product, or people are really interested when I post about it. So I can't do any gifted only or collaboration first campaigns. And then just start pitching like crazy. Like start going to other brands. Like it's a numbers game. You will find somebody out there with your amount of followers that wants to pay you. And if you lose a few brand deals here or there, it's not that big of a deal. Like know your worth and just stick to your guns.
Yeah, that's great. I also wanted to point out, I know that everyone has so many questions, but I have my own, and let me ask it right now. This is on the banner, and this has to be asked. Are there any mistakes that people can avoid that you guys have maybe either personally gone through or that you would recommend so that other people won't have to go through them in terms of like landing the brand deal, creating anything?
I guess I don't know how to word it, but don't be cringy. When I first started out, I wish I could take this back because I feel like there's so many brands that I like don't want to reach out to anymore because I did in the beginning and I was like, what was I doing? I would literally, I don't know what got into me. I would just be like, hi, I have a really big audience and I love your stuff. Can you just send me things? Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Or just like have, like I kind of had a sense of entitlement being like, oh, you want to work with me. And sometimes also, another mistake that I would make is I would push and push and push. Brands that didn't want to pay and wanted those collaboration only responses, like things, and I would push to get paid, and that's fine, you should. But once they stop responding, like don't don't harass them. Like there were some times that I got so caught up into being like, no, I could prove it to them. I could prove it to them that I'm worth getting paid. So you don't want to do that either. So kind of, if a brand doesn't want to work with you, that's okay. Let it go and contact them in a few months. So I think that's, something I wish I would have done a little differently when I first started out, because I was just like, go, 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 go. And the more I annoy, they'll come around at some point.
I mean, I love the hustle, Jesse. Like I love that about you. But sometimes the truth is, yeah, like it's that they either don't have like the brand, like the budget allotted, and or something on the back end. Like they might not necessarily not want to, but they just don't have that in that in the marketing budget or whatever at the current moment. But you are worth every dime, Jess.
Yeah, basically I'm saying like make sure to stick to your guns and know what you're worth, and just like sometimes that means letting a brand go, like, and just being like, that one's not for me. I'll circle back in like a few months or at the end of the year, and just it really is a numbers game. Just keep just keep moving forward and pitching new brands. And yeah.
Yeah. The biggest mistake I think I've made is not actually reading through all of the components of a contract. There are elements to a contract that are very important to keep an eye out for. One is exclusivity. If a brand, like I work with a lot of like hiking boot brands, if they have like an exclusivity clause where you are not allowed to work with any other boot, I'm kind of screwed over because I can't work with any other whatever brand similar to that one. And then I'm losing out on a lot of potential income. So usually folks will like, other creators will charge extra for exclusivity. And then also things like usage rights. So if a brand is asking for commercial usage rights, I've heard like, I think at this point, this is like lore, like this is like creator lore, where like there was a really huge brand that used a creator's photo in like massive billboards and like posters and things like that. And they never charged for usage. And that's like a huge deal, like that they were like in, you know, being used in all these like paid marketing ways. And so yeah, biggest mistake I think is like not reading the contract, just being so excited to like land a deal that I'm like, absolutely sign my life away. Like I just want to work with this brand. So
and
yeah.
the other thing about the contracts that's important, but it's like sometimes you don't think about it because it's like obviously it's important, is that the post date and the date that you show them the content for approval is different. So sometimes my brain will just say, oh, it's September 20th because that's the post date. But then it's like, well, you actually have to submit 3 weeks in advance. So sometimes then I'll be scrambling last minute. So it's really important to like whatever calendar system you use to put also the date that and this is like so simple, but I have ADHD and it's like something I need to consistently remind myself. Like the approval date and the post date are two completely different things.
Yeah. Honestly, this conversation is so rich. I hate to cut it short, but we are done on time. I know we still have so many questions in the chat that were not answered. So that means y'all just have to follow, you know, Jess, Dash, and all of them. Ask your questions in the DMs and or email us, you know, in terms of depending on what the question is, right? But honestly, thank you guys so much for your time, your insight today. We will be sending out a recorded version of this webinar so y'all can rewatch it later. And please save the date for our next webinar, September 25th at 1 p.m. Central. We'll be talking directly to TripAdvisor. So if y'all are in that space, if y'all been sharing their links, you want to get to know them personally, it will just be like a chat just like this. So definitely be there. But thank you guys so much once again. As I said, follow these ladies and don't forget Juliet as well. And any last final comments you guys want to make?
Me, shameless plug. Well, not really shameless plug, but if you guys want any specific brands on the platform or you guys want to work with any brands or whatever, link to them, let me know. Email me. Martha just dropped an email in the chat, so we can always get them on the platform. Or I can just like harass you like I do with Jesse, and I'm like, hey, this is on the platform.
No final comments, but this is Nigel. He just decided to grace us with his presence, and he's growling at everyone.
Oh my God, Nigel. Well, my final comment is just keep going. Like I've had a lot of highs and lows, and sometimes you feel like you're not really getting anywhere, and just keep going. Just trust the process. Just keep being consistent, and most importantly, keep putting out content that you enjoy.
Amazing. Okay. Thank you guys so much. And we'll see you guys at the next webinar.
Bye. Thank you.